Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about the upcoming astrology human design for the week ahead. Happy President's Day for those of you who get to celebrate it. If you're in school or if you work for the banks or the post office or any of the federal agencies, I'm sure you're off today, enjoying maybe a third day of the weekend for yourself. For the rest of us, we're working today. And it's all good because, especially for me, I love what I do. So why wouldn't I want to do this on a Monday? And we actually have quite a week coming ahead. It's not a bad week. Last week, I think, was a little more wild. This week will just be lots packed into those few 7 days that we're living through and has a lot of implications for us moving forward. So while it may not feel as wild or chaotic as last week might have felt to you, this week actually has, some things that are out of the gate going to begin to develop for you over the next couple of months or next couple of weeks. Actually, I'm going to put it out to the next 4 or 5 weeks as we move through the month of March. Now, let's say good morning to everybody. Good morning, Mimi and Rebecca, Michelle Gay. Good morning, Linda. Linda didn't get up early. I didn't get up early. Haven't been able to sleep yet. Oh my goodness. Well, maybe the sound of my voice will lull you to sleep and you can get some rest. Good grief. We'll send out some sleepy time thoughts for you, but take care of yourself, Linda, okay? All right, so let's take a look at what is going on this week. I mean, we don't even get a break. We start out right off today, the 18th, with the moon in Leo, one of my favorite placements. When the moon is in Leo, things feel more playful, more light, more less serious, right? We get to sort of be on the creative side of things, and our energy feels more playful and just willing to go out and have a good time. It's a great day to have a day off, right? If you are missing work today because of the holiday, you get the day off, go out and play, make it a play day, right? That's a good thing. Good morning, Jacqueline and Debbie Hedden. It's great to see you girls out there too. So the moon in Leo today is trining. That is a 120-degree angle between planets, a relationship born out of ease and flow. It means that the energies of these two planets are actually working nicely with one another. The moon, your emotional self and your soul, and Jupiter, in this case, in the sign of Sagittarius, bringing us optimism, stepping back and being able to see the bigger picture, and looking in. So it is literally a good day energetically as far as the two luminaries are concerned, right? The sun and the moon. But there's so much going on. So let's break down a little bit. Let's take a wide lens and look at the whole of the week, and then we'll come back to Monday and focus on what's important, what else is important for just today. Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Lynn. Great to see you ladies out there too. Natasha says, loving the insight and guidance in the morning. Yes, it was a short night of sleep for me too. Not me. Wow. I went to bed, fell asleep, and I woke up and it was after 6 already. I went, whoa, time to get up and get moving. So it was a good night for me. Good morning, Vicki. It's good to see you. So today, well, no, I said I was going to take the wide lens and then I'm going to bring in to the focus a little bit narrower. So this is a week where we have quite a few energies moving through with the planet Mercury. If you guys are on my blog list or you are seeing it on Facebook or any of the other social medias out there, I wrote pretty extensively about Mercury in this coming week because tomorrow the little messenger planet moves into the shadow of his next retrograde. And that means that every planet that he interacts with between then or between Tuesday and the retrograde or the actual end of the retrograde cycle, that is something that's important for us to look at. And literally he is today he's in a conjunction to Neptune. And even though we're just outside of the shadow period, I want you to think about that. Mercury, your mind, conjunct Neptune, your spirit, right? Mind and spirit aligned today. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means here in a few minutes. But for the rest of the week, we have Mercury in a sextile to Saturn. That is sharing of gifts and talents, right? They are in a good relationship with one another. Saturn and his energy of focus and discipline, and Mercury disciplining perhaps the mind and our words, communication, making maybe writing or speaking much easier and much more deliberate as we move on. Mercury will also be squaring Jupiter later in the week. Now, squares we usually think of as a challenge. That is a 90-degree relationship between planets. The 90-degree is offering up a challenge or sets up an obstacle course, something that we have to move through move through or around or up and over, under. This is a new thing that we're doing in Seattle, this, under, because they built a new tunnel. Every commercial about every time you see something about this tunnel, it's about, oh, we're going under. So they have this little wave swoop thing. Never mind. So Mercury and Jupiter setting up blocks for one another later in the week. Squaring, meaning challenging. The challenge might be to align your mind with whatever challenges lie in front of you, right? Jupiter's representing our growth and our expansion. So what are the things that might be in your way, the stumbling blocks to your growing and expanding? And I got to tell you, it's already up in the atmosphere, because I use myself as sort of the barometer, because I'm emotional, because I'm emotionally defined in my human design, and my rising sign is Cancer, my Mercury's in Cancer. I am sort of this barometer for the emotional energy that's popping up. Usually I think it's me, but as I've matured, I realize the world doesn't revolve around me, and it's often the collective energies that I'm feeling. And so what I started to feel this weekend was this sort of like, I was thinking, what would happen if I just let go of everything that I do, astrology, human design? What if I just didn't sit here every day writing up things, doing work, doing readings, trying to provide webinars? What if I just didn't do any of that? What would that feel like? My initial response was, phew, wow, what a load off my shoulders, right? Not having to worry about how to get people in, how much money to spend, how much money coming in. It would have been really nice. The very next emotion that came in under that, though, was, wow, you would be giving up on yourself. Aha. Right. That is another one of those Mercury squaring or challenging Jupiter things, is our tendency in our mind to go back into old patterns, or to think. And remember, this is Mercury in the shadow. So this becomes more prominent as we move forward, um, kind of connecting to old patterns of thoughts. And it is what is the biggest stumbling block then to our being able to move forward from here. So being able to watch out for those apparent stumbling blocks as we move forward. And then later in the week, Mercury sextiles Pluto. So far he has been in a relationship with Neptune this week, Saturn this week, Jupiter this week, and now sextiling Pluto as we get to the end of the week. And this is really important. Why? Because this is the territory Mercury will go back over in the retrograde cycle. So these are important things. If you could take and keep a journal this week of all the thoughts you have, of all the writings you had, of all the communication that you have with people around you, and even the good conversations, as well as the more conflict or confrontational things that happen, in your mind or through communication, you might be able to see what it is that Mercury is making you slow down to understand about yourself, and what to focus on as we move into March. So Mercury sextile Pluto, the last one that he makes this week, is a very powerful one. Mercury is about the mind, and Pluto is about empowerment. I think this brings us a mind dump, right? Mind dump. Say that 10 times fast. What happens is you end up looking deeper into what are the things in the dark that are obscuring the light. What is obscuring your correct vision? So Mercury, very busy this week, bringing us a lot of information, and also in the process, slowing things down as he prepares to get into the retrograde season. So yay that, right? All right. So Mercury being an inner planet makes it personal to you. And that's why I wanted to focus on that, because if it's personal to you, then it means that things that happen out there in the world or happen in your inner relationships have very deep meaning for the next period of time. If they're conflict and confrontation, you want to, decode that for yourself. If it's awesome and great, then you're going to want more of that. How do I build up more? So interesting, right? Take a deeper look in there. So what else is going on this week? The bigger news of the week, Chiron today, already this morning, moved into Aries. Did you feel it? I've already gotten 2 emails from people this morning saying, what in the, what, bleep, bleep, bleep is going on? I felt some kind of shift this morning. And it is that the nature of the wound as it is embodied in Chiron has shifted from Pisces, where we've been dealing with our connection to spirit or God or goddess, whatever you want to call it, and our victim energies, our sacrificial sort of lamb energies, and now shifting into Aries, and Aries, where it is self-oriented. And I told you guys last week, I think, as we started to move into this energy, that just about anything that you can put with the word self is up for wound and up for, and more importantly, healing. And that might mean self-acceptance, self-love, self-gratification, you name it, right? You name it. In Aries, we have the sign that begins the zodiac. And we've had Uranus in Aries, we've had Mars in Aries, and now we have Chiron moving in Aries. Do you think there's something that the universe wants us to know about Aries energy, about the energy of who you are, the energy of self-love? I think there might be, right? Uranus first moved through here, awakening us, kind of shaking us out of our reverie, causing us to rebel a bit about the way things had been. Then we had Mars go through there over the last month, the beginning of this whole year from January. What was it? I think it was actually December 31st, all the way through January. We had Mars moving through Aries, and that was taking us through the action steps that we needed to do. Now we have a long-term transit of Chiron, 7 years of Chiron in Aries. I'll be writing an article on that later. I have 3 stacks of books, not 3 stacks of books, 3 books in a stack to go through as I research all of the possible expressions of the wound, which, if you are under 50 years old, are likely going to be the way you experience it. If you are over 50, between 50 and 52 years old, you are either coming to your Chiron return or you've already been through your Chiron return, and this will now be the healing path. And not that you under 50-year-olds aren't up for healing as well, because the whole path of wounding is about healing. It's like, the idea of give and receive. They're a continuum. Well, the same thing with Chiron, wounding, healing, all part of the same continuum. The only difference is, how do you experience it? How does it show up for you in your world? And largely that is driven by the contacts that Chiron is making to other planets in your personal astrology chart, and what house Chiron is transiting through in your personal astrology chart. Huge study. We could literally, if I just took 3 pieces, maybe 4, if I just took 4 pieces in your astrology chart, I would really be able to see deeply into what makes you tick. And that would be Chiron, your path of wounding and healing, your north and south node, which comprise an axis, which is literally your destiny and your karma, and then the sun. What are you focusing your energy on in this lifetime? So it's an important part. It's an important player. And so we want to pay attention. This is Chiron in Aries until 2026. It'll retrograde at some point, and it'll it'll move forward into Taurus and then backwards into Aries, where it will be finally in 2027 that we are done with the energy that Chiron is bringing us about the self. So if you are out there, one of those people who felt a shift this morning, I believe it was like at 6:01 a.m. my time. So that would be early 9:01 a.m. on the East Coast. If you felt that shift, you were tuning in to what was happening with Chiron. Not only that, today we also have the sun moving out of the sign of Aquarius and into Pisces. So happy birthday to all of you Pisceans out there as we now shift to the very much softer energies of Pisces. Creative energy, intuitive energy, compassionate energy, heart-centered energy. It is the last sign of the zodiac. So we have this idea of Aries being the alpha and Pisces being the omega. And Pisces are very loving, generous signs, sometimes given to shock when the reality of the world bites. And I know I have a couple of Aries family members. I hope to be hearing from them because they are checking in with me to tell me how they're doing, because this is going to be a very busy Pisces season based on some of the astrological things that I'm seeing line up. Which, by the way, let me just remind everybody, the Astrological March webinar is coming up February 27th. That will be next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time and 7 p.m. East Coast time. We are going to take apart the month of March and look deeper into it. We have Mercury turning retrograde. More importantly, Uranus moving into Taurus, the sun moving into Aries later in the month. It is going to be a very busy, busy March. So we'll want to take that apart and look at that. I'm inviting the people who come to the webinar, which is, by the way, $20. I put that link up on my Living Astrology Facebook page. I added it to the newsletter yesterday, so you can get it from the newsletter. You can get it from the Living Astrology Facebook page. And today I will put it up on my website. So many ways that you can get that. And I've invited people to bring their charts to that, because it's what good is all this information if you don't know your own chart, right? That's the important part. Having your astrology chart with you. If you do not have your own astrology chart, you know where to find one. Go to my website, www.living-astrology.com, request your free natal chart, and it comes with a bunch of different information documents that I've put out about the houses, about the planets, and things like that. And by the way, when you do that, it does subscribe you to my newsletter. If you are already subscribed and you don't want to go through the process of resubscribing, which would be silly, right? Just hit me up in an email. I'm going to put my email address up here for you guys so you can. It is, and I'm going to say it out loud because I take these and I load them up to these broadcasts and I load them up to Blog Talk later. It is livingastrology111@gmail.com. And you can request your free natal chart that way as well, especially if you're already receiving the newsletter. You don't need to be subscribed more than once. In fact, I don't even think it will let you resubscribe, which means you won't be able to get me the information that you want. So there you go. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? So the other things happening today, the full moon, super moon at the 0 and 45 minutes degrees of Virgo and Pisces across that angle. So this is the superest of the three supermoons in that it's the closest approach to Earth. My friend Michelle Gay out there last night, she texted me and she said, Janet, you got to look at the moon. I went out there to see it, but it was too low to the horizon. I couldn't see for the trees. It hadn't come up above the mountains that obscure my view. So by the time I actually got to see the moon, it didn't look so supery anymore. But tonight, as we get closer to the full moon, the sun will be lower and I should be able to at least find it in the sky, or I'll just go out to the flats where I could see the darn thing, because this should be quite the show, as this is the biggest supermoon of 2019. And does that mean it has more power? You bet you, right? You bet you, because it's closest to the Earth. The Earth is made up of water. The moon represents water, emotions, the soul, and it stirs the waters of your own body, right? So it isn't a mistake when people say that they have more weird things happen at the full moon or even at the new moon, because your body responds to the closeness of the moon. So expect things to be a little wonky, to be a little more powerful, to have a little more bang for its buck, right? So that happens tomorrow morning, 7:54 a.m. my time, 10:54 a.m. your time. That's when the actual full moon occurs. Likely you won't see it, or maybe you might. I think you probably won't be able to see it. No, because the sun will be up. Yeah. So you'll have to see it that night or tonight when it sets, when the sun sets, you'll be able to see the moon. And that's probably at least for us here in the US, it is that the brightest that you're going to see it. All right. We talked about Mercury moving into its shadow tomorrow, 19th, tomorrow late in the day. It will move into the same territory where it will be in retrograde in March. So pay attention, take advantage. And if you are in the process of getting some things done, this is the time to do it. And be prepared, because Mercury retrograde often makes us reevaluate, redo, relook at whatever it is that is being done by us. So if you have a project in the works, just know that you may have to revisit some of those things as time moves on here. Now, well, I want to get to two more big things. There's plenty of stuff happening today, but I also want to go back and talk about the week ahead from the human design perspective. So if time permits, I will get to that. If not, we will take that up tomorrow when it actually happens. But for now, I want to talk about two other things that are going on. Um, Mercury is conjunct Neptune today, which I told you already about. And at the same time, Venus is conjunct Saturn today in Capricorn. Mercury is conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So we have two big deals, right? Because Mercury and Venus are both inner planets, and so these are personal things. Venus rules your values, your relationships, love in general, love energy in all of its expressions, right? Love not just between people, but love in terms of the bigger energy of love in our relationships to money, to our jobs, to our friends, to our lovers, to many different things throughout our world. When she conjuncts Saturn, it takes on a little bit of a more stern sort of kind of costume, right? She's very businesslike in the sign of Capricorn. It's like she put on her business suit, right? She's got her little, white button-up shirt and her black coat and her black pencil skirt on. She's very business oriented here. And so her values and the values that she is helping bring out in all of you is the truth of who you are, the expression of your authentic selves, and you claiming your authority. And that's just kind of expanded with her connection now to Saturn. And it may be that what we're really feeling is, I told you about how I felt like this weekend I could just let go of everything, right? Everything I do, because that's a Saturn feeling. It's a Saturn feeling as I'm getting closer and closer to my next Saturn return, that of pruning things away that no longer suit, or that no longer fit you, or that are no longer your truth, right? So today, Venus is having you take a dark, deep look at what is going on with your truth. What is authentic? What is not? What is in your authority? What is not? What is real and what is not? And that, like I said, is in your values, in your relationships, and the relationships of all different kinds. This is super, super important, because from an astrological standpoint, we're seeing from the planets some truths about what it is that we are embarking upon. You cannot mistake that Chiron and Aries is taking us to our personal truth. Who are we? Who am I? Who is my I am? Right? That's Aries represents the I am. On top of that, as we look and take a look ahead this week at the human design aspects, we see that, the sun is at gate 55, and the gate 55 in its gift and in its city is freedom. And the lowest expression, the shadow, is victimization. So it is the pathway from victimization to freedom by claiming, hello, freedom, right? Claiming it. And we begin to claim freedom when we align ourselves with our truth, right? Not the truth of your family, not the truth of your friends, not the truth of the outer world, but your own personal truth. Interesting week. don't you think? Right? Now, Mercury conjunct Neptune is also bringing his own kind of information to us because he's in Pisces. This is where he's going to retrograde. He is retrograding, or his shadow literally is sitting on top of Neptune. And literally then means when he turns back to direct, he will be sitting again at Neptune. So there's a correlation between today and tomorrow and where we get to the end of the retrograde period on March 28th, I believe it is. So Mercury conjunct Neptune brings us to our soul, brings us to our higher self, brings us to our higher truth, aligns us mind and soul, mind and spirit, right? So we have a very tight mind spirit conjunction going on. And what does that mean for us? Well, it means that we need to start living our lives from a different perspective, no longer bound to just this earthly realm where everything looks chaotic, feels chaotic, is chaotic, right? We have to raise our bars. We have to raise our frequencies. And that is what this particular conjunction is telling us. It also gives you some insight then into what comes next, right? For you individually, where do you need to raise the bar? Where do you need to raise your frequency? Right? Where do you need to lean into the spiritual side of things, letting go of some of the more earthbound, crazy stuff that's going on, right? So, interesting day, interesting week, interesting rest of this month. We still have Uranus at the very last degree, 29 degrees, 22 minutes of Aries. So, we see that we are closing out some lessons there in literally just about 2 weeks. The planet Uranus will move into Taurus and not look back at Aries for another 84 years. So, do you think those lessons that we were learning are important? I think they were very important. And now the lessons that we will learn in Taurus equally becoming important, right? So we'll talk more about that in the March webinar. Um, Human design, I said already, I always give this away. What is that? The sun at gate 55. This is a week about prosperity and abundance. In human design, 55 is called the gate of abundance. And I didn't pull a chart up for this morning, but let me see if I can give you the chart from last week that we looked at. The gate 55 is right here on the emotional center. It's right in the center, right? It's between gate 30 and gate 49. And so the sun at gate 55 putting a lot of emphasis on the emotional state of abundance for us, at least as it is relating to your human design. And here is where we are quite frequently the victims of prosperity or lack, right? The victims of. And where we can then elevate ourselves out of that victimization and into a prosperity mindedness, right? Or an abundant mindset. Here we have the energy that we usually call the abundance through spirit. And I think I talked last week to you about intrinsic value and intrinsic worth. There isn't a human being on the planet that doesn't deserve to have everything, doesn't deserve to have the abundance of the universe flowing into their lives so that they can give in turn to the world and then they receive again from the world. And I want you to note that this gate of abundance is not sitting on the sacral where the energy of work is. It is sitting on the solar plexus where the energies of emotions reside. So abundance is not based in work or what you do. It is based literally in how you feel. So it becomes more of a feeling or an emotional connection. And in this gate, when we look at it holographically through the gene keys, this is where we see that energy of victimization at its lowest, and our opportunity to move up becomes freedom. It's the only gate in the human design, or it's the only gate in the gene keys that has the gift and the siddhi at the same energy, and that is freedom, right? Freedom, 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 freedom squared, right? So interesting to note for all of us that we are working toward freedom as we move into this week. Now, the earth, where's the earth challenging us? Well, the earth is challenging us At gate 59. Now, gate 59 is on the sacral center. It is the gate that we think of. It's tribal energy. It is the masculine tribal energy right here. Here's gate 59, and here's the feminine part of the tribal energy, starting at gate 27 and moving over to gate 50. This is gate 59 leading over to gate 6. So we have intimacy here, or the search for intimacy in this gate. So the earth bringing us closer, hopefully, or challenging us to be really true to who we are, to be intimate, to intimately know ourselves, but also to bond with others. And the highest expression of this gate is transparency. Now, I haven't really read into the gate 59 much, but here's what I do know about the gate 59. It is very masculine energy. So it is the energy of doing, not just being. And we've talked before about how the feminine energy is the one that lays down the rules, right? That lays down the laws, that says, this is how it shall be. This is what we demand. This is what we command. Right? Our children are fed, our children are educated, our homes are safe, our environment is clean and healthy, etc. Right? That's what the feminine is engaged in, demanding, commanding that this too shall be. It is the masculine energy's job then to go out there and make it happen. So if you are in the process of balancing these two energies within yourself, then it is you now moving forward in the truth of who you are. It is you now being, so this is very fertile energy. So you being sort of fertilized, if you will, without the weird pictures that can come up with that, with this energy of creativity that's going to propel you forward. Remember on Friday, we were doing card readings, and there were a couple of people who ended up with spider energy. Spider, the grandmother spider, the weaver of the world, the one animal that we really connect with creative energy. So, I mean, there are other energies of fertility, like rabbit, etc. But spider, she's the weaver of the world. So, what world are you weaving? That's the question. What do you want to weave? So, the earth challenging us to really get up and do according to our what is our command? What has the divine feminine ordered up for you in terms of what happens next? Then urging your divine masculine side to take the next step, to move, to do, right? To get out of your own way, to enact, right? So interesting stuff there. Let's see. Comments. Debbie, she said, I felt fine before and after. Wait. She says, I was getting sick in the bathroom, TMI, when the shift happened. I felt fine before, then, and after. So that's what I'm telling you. This is huge. So Debbie, for you, this must be in a very key place in your own personal chart. So if you have your personal chart, I would look to the house it's in, and then I would look to the other planets that Chiron is connecting to. And Chiron in your astrology chart, well, that was an ugly circle. Looks like this, a key, right? A K on top of a circle. Right? So if you see that symbol in your chart, that represents Chiron. So if you can find that in your personal chart and see what other planets it happens to be connected to, what does it happen to be transiting over, you might be able to discover what's going on, where maybe you've given too much of yourself away. And I don't know exactly because I don't have your chart in front of me, but interesting, right? Patricia Wood, spider energy. I live on Webb Place. How in your face is that, right? Debbie Tibbetts, I don't know if I felt the shift or not, but I got up and ate a steak for breakfast. It was delicious. Good for you, Debbie. Protein in it for the long haul, maybe. And needing the energy, the protein from a steak would give you that longer term energy, right? Carbohydrates give you that instant energy, but protein gives you the slow burn. So it feels like you're in it for the long haul, whatever that might mean for you. April, my Chiron is in Aries. I've had an intense last 7+ years. Now that would have meant that Chiron, the last 7 years, moving through the sign of Aries. And where is Aries in your natal chart? Right? That would have been the area in your life because you are pre-Chiron return. So you are still moving through the wound energy. You're approaching now the healing of that wound. So what is all of that? What have you learned about yourself during that transit through Aries or through, excuse me, Pisces? And what comes next in the completion of your Chiron return, which may still be, far away. It depends on what degree Chiron is in your chart. So lots of people are, totally into the feel of that Chiron shift. Good morning and evening, Anne. Good seeing you. So Colleen, good morning. And Marie or Natasha says, funny, I was talking about being on the trust train with a friend as many triggers of change started last week, yet the train seems to be moving slowly with no answers yet. I'm willing to ride it no matter how slow it is. Good morning, Diane Pegram. Happy Monday to you too. And Natasha, just stay on the train. And Jacqueline, what iOS app do you recommend for viewing the planets or updates on the planet shifting into the next sign? Don't know because I don't use my phone for that. Um, Good question though. I'm sure there must be some kind of astrology app that you could use. Um, I purchased software, astrological software that does all of that. Tells me, I get a printout and it tells me exactly what's going on every day, right? It gives me the red letter days, gives me the green letter days, green number days, excuse me, not letters. Note today's a red day. Tomorrow's a green day, actually, kind of cool. And we have another red day this week on Friday, which I wrote a lot about Friday. When I looked back at what I was writing for the week, Friday was the busiest day of writing for me. And that's because Mercury, a lot of planets are making a lot of contacts to the inner worlds on Friday. So I thought that was worthy of writing more about. So there we go. We have quite a week ahead of us. I am going to draw a card that is going to take us through the week. And I'm going to draw it from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck because I feel like we need some extraordinary guidance for this week. So anybody else want to share any experiences they had over the weekend or any experiences they had this morning thinking about Chiron and its move? I'll have a more clearer picture on that as I finish my research into Chiron in Aries. Whoa, a card does not want to come. Nothing. Okay, so let me focus on this for a minute. By the way, I would love it if you all would send some healing energy out to the people that my husband works with, as one of their own was diagnosed with a brain tumor over the weekend, I think on Friday, and here and now, and had brain surgery over the weekend. So sending healing waves out to, can I say his name and get away with that? Keith. We'll just call him Keith. So here and now is the card I pulled. It is the number 32, a 5, which represents change. And if Suzanne, if you're out there, you might want to put up the energies of 5. She always has these quick number things for us. So the here and now, I pulled it up right. Looks like an egg. What is popping up out of the top? A fairy? Yeah, a little fairy popping or angel popping up out of the top. And what does the sign there say? It says past and future on the other sign. Right? So, but the egg is placed right planet center of those two, right in the now. So let's take a look at what that card might mean for us for the week. Essential meaning, being fully present in the moment, living one day at a time. The Oracle's message is everything happens in the now, in the present. Only this moment counts. You have what it takes to handle anything today if you let go of the need to look into the future or reflect on the past. Be present and notice what is going on right now. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles in your life. Woohoo! I'm also going to read the prosperity message because the sun moving into the gate 55 representing abundance. It says, what you are working on is golden and your efforts will leave a powerful legacy. Focus not on meeting a goal in the far off future, but on creating your dream now, releasing your desire for an outcome and owning that it already exists. It will appear in the material world as if by magic. Claim your prosperity now. The essence is more important than the form. When you are immersed in prosperous thoughts, you automatically tune into a sense of timelessness and unlimited potential. You can act as if, in quotes, in spite of the temporary outer conditions. You are prosperous at this moment. What you think now becomes your reality. So stay present. Great card. Great card. Great reminder. I'm going to pull a spirit animal card too, guys, to represent us for the week. Things are easier to cope with now that the moon is in Cancer. The moon is actually in Leo. Out of Cancer is probably what you meant, because Cancer sometimes is emotional and people sort of can be emotionally driven, emotionally reactive. So I'm asking for a spirit animal that is going to guide us for the week ahead. And I got Starfish Spirit. I think we've had this one before. In fact, I think on one day, didn't two people at the same time get this card when we were doing readings? Starfish Spirit says, open to infinite possibility. Beautiful, beautiful card. Okay, let's read about Starfish Spirit. By the way, it was upright. And card number 59. Interesting. The Earth is at gate 59 this week. And 59 would be a 14, which is also a 5. Oh my gosh, Suzanne Fulmer, where are you? Because 5 now, both cards showing us the number 5. And 59. Starfish says, open to infinite possibility. Stretched out on the beach, the starfish opens fully to the rays of the sun, to the power of potential. As you look out toward the horizon, do you open up to infinite possibility? Spirit is the source of opportunities beyond your wildest imagination and ensures endless possibilities are available. At this time, Starfish Spirit urges you to stretch past the limits of your everyday perception and comfort zone to dream of bigger things and imagine with even greater hope and faith, for miraculous potential is shining down on you. Feel it, bask in it, and open yourself to be filled with inspiration. This is a very fortunate sign that Starfish Spirit has come to remind you of your infinite potential. Wonderful, wonderful Mercury conjunct Neptune thinking right there. Open to your infinite potential. Ah, love it. All right. Let's see. Any last comments, people? No, Debbie, Patricia, nobody has any other comments. So we have a good week coming. Lots going on. And breaking it down each day, I will try to get you, sort of on track. If you want to get your own chart and you have questions about something personally in your chart, you can certainly throw that out and ask that question tomorrow. Some other reminders for the week. Tomorrow we won't be able to go through that. That's why I did this today. Yes. Because tomorrow my friend Amy will be on air with me. She is she's a teacher of compassionate meditation. She does qigong. She's on early in the morning, as I am, doing compassionate meditation and qigong on air with live in the mornings. You can see her webpage, and I believe it'll be the same as mine. It is there and archived for you to look at. But tomorrow, she is going to be sharing with us an upcoming meditation retreat that she is hosting in Peru, Machu Picchu area. And so I'm excited to be able to share that with all of you in case you've ever had a dream of taking a trip to those areas of the world. I think she'll also briefly touch on her upcoming trip in September, I think it is, to Ireland. And I just love listening to her talk. She is very well traveled. She has been places I would never think that I would go. The Antarctic. She she has great information about traveling and hosting these kinds of retreats. So she'll be with us in the morning as well. And let's see what else is coming up this week on Ascension and Astrology. We will take up the energy of what does prosperity and abundance look like in a new paradigm world. And I will dive a little bit deeper into the gate 55 and what that means for us. What does that look like, as it is literally the gate of our evolution? The leap in our evolution will come through freedom in the gate 55. So we'll be taking a look at that. Don't forget that the March webinar is next week. Wow, that is next week. 27th at 4 p.m. You can register online on the Living Astrology Facebook page through the newsletter I sent out yesterday, and I will upload it to my website later today. All right, that's it for me this morning. You guys are welcome. Beautiful messages go so well with what you wrote for today. If you can dream it, you can eventually make it reality. That is from Rebecca. Absolutely, Rebecca. Awesome, awesome. All right, thank you all for joining me this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. And you know what? Keep your observations written down for this week. Bring them to the show. Let's see what people are experiencing in what feels like a week of changing and shifting. So, especially since both of these cards, these lovely, lovely cards, were fives, that tells us there's change and transformation afoot. What does that mean for you personally? Bring us your stories, okay? All right, take care, everybody. Mwah! Have a great day. See you tomorrow.